Hello everyone, thank you all so much for joining in. This is Dylan from the Trini Gardener channel and I'm super excited about this video because this is going to be another garden tour. I haven't done a garden tour in some time, specifically because instead of just showing you what I have in my garden, I'm going to try to teach you how to develop your garden. But some of you have been asking, Dylan, what are you growing? It's a new year. So I'm just going to give you a brief little tour of what I have going on in this small little backyard operation that I have here from where I do all of my videos for you all the growing guys who come from right here in the back. There isn't much structure for this video. I'm just going to be showing you what I have in my garden and giving you a few of my ideas and comments on how things have been going. But if you do hang on until the end of the video, there's going to be an update on my no-till garden or my Nordic garden that I started right on here with you guys a good few videos ago, and I haven't been able to do an update up until now. So no time like the present. Now, in an effort to conserve energy, we're going to start the tour right here. These are some cucumbers that I planted into this little trough that I made. It's literally just concrete flooring, put some concrete blocks and filled it with dirt. I had actually put some tomatoes in here before, and the soil I had put was, shouldn't even call it soil. It was just really sandy, really cheap stuff I had bought because I got it really cheap. And the tomatoes didn't do very well at all. If you follow me on Instagram and you've seen pictures of my sunrise bumblebee tomato, I didn't put much pictures of that because the tomato itself didn't do so well. I did get a few tomatoes and I was able to save the seeds, so that'll be better for the future. But at least here, I had to remove all the dirt that I had initially put on here because I just wanted something to fill it up fast. And I removed it, put back in a really good growing medium. That's a mixture of mostly compost, right? Very little garden soil, majority like 90% compost, maybe 10% some garden soil. Even the garden soil was really nice and rich in organic matter. That's one of the things that is going to be a running thread in this video, is that I'm moving away from topsoil and I'm moving towards growing in compost as much as possible. But I'll be doing probably an entire video on why I think compost is 10 times, 100 times better than topsoil. Okay, so these cucumbers here are the straight 8 cucumbers. They tend to be generally long and slender, as opposed to getting like short and like stocky and fat. And I just said that I would try them because I had grown some other hybrids, but I believe that is straight 8. It's a heirloom type cucumber, and the good thing with heirlooms is that when you save the seed, if you're happy with the plant, you can be sure that you're going to get an exact replica of that plant. So we're going with these straight 8. We have 4 plants over here. I have them trellising up on this string trellis that I showed you all how to make right here on the channel. I'll put a link to that video right here, and you can see how you can do this for yourself for under 30 TT, right? All currencies in TT dollars. So really TT dollars, nothing to spend to get something that will be, like, I've had this for about a year working here, and I've grown other things on it and literally no wear and tear from the weather as yet. The string is really good. I mean, it's plastic, but it's something that's supposed to last me for a really long time because I'm not putting it through any kind of super arduous kind of work. So that's it for my cucumbers. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is what I have going on in these little bricks here. So in the holes of the bricks, I've started filling in soil and planting things inside there because, of course, we're all about being self-sufficient, self-sustainable. And one of the things about that is being ingenious about where you plant and how you plant. So these blocks, obviously, I use them for the raised bed, but if the holes in them can hold enough dirt for roots to grow, which, as you can see, it does, and it can, then why not grow things inside of it? So I have some chive, celery, I have some parsley, right? Some bandania, more chive, and all of these chive, believe it or not, they're all grown from food scraps. So we buy chive every once in a while, and we take the root from it and we plant it down into a brick hole, and you have you have your own seasoning growing up right there, and it's really I think it's really rewarding. I've even gone as far as planting some lettuce in the brick holes, as you can see here. And if you follow me on TikTok, these lettuce from here are the result of the seeds that I saved from a lettuce plant that I had let go to seed, and I waited on it. And if you want to see that entire process, just go onto TikTok and it's somewhere on there. And yeah, the seed, they germinated at an amazing rate, almost 100% germination rate on those seeds. They were really, really good. I show you how to do that on TikTok. And yeah, we have lettuce growing up here. It's just been a matter of a few weeks, and lettuce are growing really, really well. Chemical free, 100% organic, and the lettuce are coming up perfectly. So go check out that video on TikTok. Let me know what you think about that process. See how easy it is to save your own lettuce seeds and never have to buy lettuce transplants or plugs ever again. Okay, so right here next to the lettuce, I have, so this is the raised bed that I had shown you all in a video how to amend, right? So I had swapped out most of the topsoil from here, amended it with compost, and I think things are doing, well enough. Fingers crossed that, it continues like that. I think I wanted to bring you all along for when I planted in these plants after that video, but that didn't happen. So what I've done here is I've planted in some peppers, right? Some sweet pepper. So I have this is sweet pepper, sweet pepper, sweet pepper here. This is a type of sweet pepper called the Cubanelle. These are all regular hybrid sweet peppers, right? Just what you're accustomed to seeing in Trinidad. Those kind of sweet peppers, like a bell pepper, right? This is called a Cubanelle pepper, and it's a sweet pepper. It's meant to be a bit longer. I'm interested to see how it turns out because I read some reviews about the pepper. It's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to do really well in our climate. This one I grew from seed, so I'm just really happy about how it's doing because from seed with peppers can sometimes be a bit risky, especially for the home gardener. And yeah, it's doing okay for now. I hope it continues like that. These others, I bought them as plants, right? They're all hybrid varieties. I think I paid like 50 cents per plant, right? So, really cheap. And yeah, they're already starting to bud up. I can see some tiny peppers over there. I put a final bit of cow manure, some well-cured cow manure. And when I say well-cured, I'm talking about 2 to 3 months of curing the cow manure after getting it. And it comes already kind of cured. But the best thing is to not rush the process of curing the cow manure. Some people want to use their cow manure in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Yeah, maybe you can, but the risk that you're taking is just something that I'm not prepared to do because especially when you don't know what that cow has been eating, it can take quite some time for some of those things to break down in the manure, right? So I had it really well cured, and then I molded up these plants, just kind of mounded it up at the bases there with some cow manure, and I did that probably 2 weeks ago. And maybe once every month or 3 weeks, I will just do a reapplication of the cured cow manure as a organic general fertilization, and that's really all these peppers need. Now I'm going to bring you all closer so you can see this, but I'll kind of zoom out from time to time so you can see. But so I was telling you about growing in a brick, right? So I don't know if you all remember from my last garden tour. Can't remember if I showed you all, but there was a okra tree right here. That okra, I left it to dry so I can get some seeds from it. Then I realized I didn't actually want those seeds, but the process happened. A seed fell in between this brick, right? And I didn't put any dirt. I literally have no clue what this is growing in. But this plant, if you can see it from afar, and I'll bring it in a bit closer for you to see, this plant has been growing up. I can actually see baby okras on it from a seed that I never planted. This is what you call a volunteer plant. It's a plant that you didn't ask for, but you got it anyway. And yeah, it's not bothering me, so I'm going to leave it here and see what ends up happening with this okra. Okay, so moving over to the container garden now, I have some buckets with mostly my brassicas because I have had really terrible luck with brassicas. Brassicas meaning things like lettuce, cabbage, and your broccoli, cauliflower, because we have a lot of slugs over here, and the slugs they wreak a lot of havoc on anything that they can get their hands on or their bodies on. So the idea is that with the buckets, it'll be harder for them to make their way up. They probably still can. Like, I don't think it's impossible. I don't try to underestimate slugs. I just think that making it up the bucket is going to be harder for them, right? So on this side over here, I have 3 buckets with broccoli. This one got kind of beaten up by, I'm not sure what did that. I want to think it's a caterpillar that came in. I'm not sure, but I fed it with some cow manure, as all of these got, and for now it's doing okay. It seems to be bouncing back. They can't come back, right? It's just that it puts them through a lot of stress to get eaten back. They get their foliage eaten back because then they get limited in how much energy they can pull in from the sun, and that's the real downside of having them be attacked like that. That's why I'm trying to sort of separate them from the slugs, because you just have to work with your situation, especially in an organic garden. I know there are chemicals I can spray and use and get rid of those slugs like indefinitely, but I'll get rid of so many other important insects in my garden. And I don't want to do that, right? So if I have to lose a plant or two, I can do that as a home gardener. I know on a bigger scale and commercially people don't have that option. Completely fine. Well, it's not completely fine, but I understand. But in my situation, I rather do that. I rather I lose a plant than just destroy the ecosystem. So then on the other side here, I have 3 cauliflowers, so 3 broccoli, 3 cauliflower, and then I have 4 cabbages in buckets as well, because cabbage is another one where the cabbage sort of comes up and then you don't realize that there are slugs inside of those leaflets and they sort of eat the heart from the inside. It's pretty gnarly what they end up doing to the cabbages. So I tried to, this year, or at least this growing season, to put my brassicas in a way that fits my situation here without me having to go to destroy these slugs. All right. If you look down here, you probably can't see it, so I'll bring you all closer. On this side here, I have some sunflowers. These are branching sunflowers that I grew from seed. I have 5 of them. These 3 are coming up a lot better. I've already fertilized them. I give them a good cow manure slash some worm casting fertilizer recently, and then we had some rain. So these sunflowers are growing up really, really quickly, really, really fast. I don't know if these 2 here, I'm going to transplant them so they can have a bit more room to grow. They can probably stay there, but they're not going to do as well as they would if I had allowed them to have more space with their roots to grow. But sunflowers are amazing to grow, and they are really good for composting because the output of what they can break down when they eventually die and be composted, it's actually more nutrients than they take up. So they give you a added benefit to your garden if you grow them and then just let them be composted, whether in place or in your compost bin. And remember that I did the video on composting, so feel free to check that out and see a bit of the basics of composting. More videos about composting coming out for sure. There's just so much to talk about, and it's such an amazing resource that you can create yourself at home for more or less free right there in your garden using your garden scraps and your kitchen scraps. And we're back to the side of the raised bed. I wanted to point out this plant to you all. This is a type of bean that I think it's called like the winged dragon bean or something like that. Somebody could correct me in the comments. And I bought this plant as a seedling, and I planted it, and it took a long time to get established. But it's what I was saying in the beginning, which is that over here in this trough, I had not the best soil, right? So I feel like it was there, kind of surviving, but it wasn't really thriving. And it's really when I swapped out that soil for some better soil, richer in organic matter and compost, that this plant started to take off. And from there, it started to grow, started to vine finally, and it's vined its way, and it's now probably out of the frame. And I'll show you all. But when I get produce from this, I'll be really happy to show you what it looks like. So follow me on Instagram and on TikTok so that I can show you exactly what this looks like, because it's supposed to taste just like same or like bodi, but it's made up really, really cool. I saw this at a friend's house and I just had to get a plant of it. Here we are in another little section of the garden. This is some more containers. This is the strike bean that I'll bring you all closer to see what it looks like underneath here. These are containers that I had changed up the soil a bit. I added some compost and stuff. And it's just something that I like doing, which is that as soon as I amend a container, I don't want to leave it without anything in it. So I'll plant a seed of something that I know will grow really fast. In this case, I use the strike salad bean. It's sort of like, I think we call it like string bean in Trinidad. And it grows really, really fast. I mean, I planted the seed. From the time I planted the seed to now, it's not even been 50 days. That's a month and a half. And it's already fruiting. We already have string bean on here, right? Or the salad bean. Not every single plant has done well, but I've done probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've done 5 of these plants. Now behind me, all this bush that you're seeing over here, this is the result of speaking and having discussions with some gardeners in Ghana, because in Ghana, they grow in some bags, and not even like grow bags, like full-on grow bags that companies are selling now. It's literally just a feed bag or any kind of bag where you can put dirt, put some holes in. I'll do a video on it so that you can see exactly how I did it. But it's pretty much just a bag, dirt, put something that will grow. I've told you all many times in my sweet potato growing guide that sweet potatoes, they grow amazingly well, sometimes even too well. They kind of take over. That's kind of what's going on here, but I'll let them do that. All of the terrible soil that I told you in the beginning of the video that I took out from where the cucumbers were, all of that soil I just loaded up into bags, slight amending, very little. Put in some slips. If you don't know what a sweet potato slip is, go check out my sweet potato growing guide right here. And this is the result of that, growing in terrible soil that I would consider, I thought it was entirely useless. It's not entirely useless, it's just that I don't think I would have had much success with things like tomatoes and peppers in this soil, but the sweet potato doesn't mind some bad soil. It's one of the reasons why planters will even put sweet potato where you know there is terrible soil, just so that the sweet potato can go down and then just sort of break up that soil somewhat. All right, root crops can't do that for you sometimes. That's why some people plant cassava, even yam, even things like beet. I mentioned this in my beet growing guide, that beetroot can help to break up that soil and just allow your soil to get, looser with that plant in it. And welcome back to, as I told you in my pumpkin growing guide and pumpkin harvesting video, one of my favorite parts of the garden, which is just the pumpkin patch. We have a few pumpkins growing here. You all saw the first one that we harvested, which was an early fruit. We picked that one, and the harvest video is on YouTube a few videos back. And I even have the video cutting into it because I had told you all in that video that I wanted to let the pumpkin cure for some time. And we did, we let it cure. I cut it on a video on TikTok, so you go try that out. And if you want to see the harvest video, it's right here. I also give you 3 tips on how to know when your pumpkin is nice and ready to be harvested. So go, feel free to check that out. And let me show you the different pumpkins that we have here. This is the pumpkin that I showed you all in my pumpkin harvesting video. Pretty nice sized boy, probably like a 25-pounder. This pumpkin, I'm leaving it a bit longer than the last one. I'm waiting for the stem here to get nice and dry because I think that the last one could have stayed a bit longer and ripened just a little bit more. It was good, but I feel like it could be a little bit better. Here is the 3rd pumpkin on that vine. So the pumpkin I showed you in my pumpkin harvest video, and then the big pumpkin I just showed you, and this one, they're all on the same vine. So 3 pumpkins on the same vine is always something to be happy about. And that's one of the benefits of living in a tropical country, because if you were living somewhere temperate, normally you wouldn't have the time to let all 3 pumpkins go, the full term and get ripe. So like people who are growing in temperate countries, they usually end up having to, maybe single stem their pumpkin and just sort of like reduce the number of fruit, just so that the fruits that are on the vine can get a chance to ripen before the winter comes and the frost kills off everything. So, there are, strengths and of course weaknesses to growing in the tropics, but this is one of our strengths, that we have such a big growing season, and we should use it to, get as much as we can out of some of our crops like pumpkin. This one is from a different vine, so you're going to notice that the size is a lot different than the others. This vine didn't do so well as the one that gave me those 3 really nice big ones, but I'm still happy that I at least got something from this vine, and I'll save the seeds and see if I like it. And as we're here, have you ever seen such a nice this hedge of lettuce? Sometimes it looks so pretty I don't even want to cut it. These were all grown from transplants that I bought, 50 cents for a transplant, and the lady always gives me like an extra 2. So I just stuffed them in really closely because I'm going to be doing cut and come again. I'll do a video on that because some people on TikTok were telling me that they didn't actually know about cut and come again. So they had felt that I planted these too close. But I think when I show you how cut and come again really works, I think you'll see that it makes a lot of sense if you're a home gardener. And now last but not least, an update on the Nordic garden that I told you all I was starting right here as an experiment. I got some things to work. The problem that I hadn't anticipated, and the reason for all of this debris around here, is that because it's so low down and because it's pure compost that I'm using here, the cats in the neighborhood find that it was a really good litter box. And I don't know why, I don't know if this is a thing with cats, but they were really fond of just going to the plants and just sort of like uprooting the plants, like just kind of scratching around the roots. So I had planted cucumber, kale, a few things. Even my strike salad bean that's supposed to grow in literally anywhere, even that didn't survive because these cats came in and just destroyed stuff. And something that I'm learning now is that it's better to sort of vary the amount of compost that you have in it, as in use different sources of compost. So what I did here that's kind of working now is that I have added some green waste compost and even some animal manure that was cured, and added that onto the compost itself, because it's all compost, it's just different types of compost. And some composts are better as a growing medium to hold the nutrients, and some composts are better at being like the fertilizer itself. So as you call, manure could be a form of compost that's really good at being a fertilizer. And then I think the wood compost, I would say in my experience here, it's better at being a growing medium because it's so good at holding on to moisture and encouraging that fungal life to be here. So what I've done is I've just simply left it as I laid it down where you saw in that video, but I didn't disturb the soil at all. I just removed whatever debris was on the top and I added new layers of compost. And so here now, what you would have is mostly wood compost, a layer of green waste compost, and then a small layer of cow manure. And the idea here is that I'm not expecting this, or I wasn't expecting it to be amazing on the first try, but the idea with the Nordic is that it's going to get better with time. So if you can see here, all the plants that are doing well here, these were all volunteer plants. I didn't plant most of these. So these tomatoes are volunteer, the pepper is volunteer, the lettuce is not volunteer, I planted that. The cabbage over here, those were from plants that I bought, and the scythe is from kitchen scraps. So things can grow, and they are and have been growing. It's just that, based on the situation itself, the ease of access for things like cats, the desire as well for cats to come in, and it's nice for them to scratch or whatever the case is, and the lack of the sunlight, and then my mistake in the beginning, just using wood compost. Now that I've learned those lessons, I am adding more to it once I do get a bit of a crop from this, the scythe and the tomatoes. I'll see what happens to these tomatoes here, and even the pepper. I'm just leaving everything here. It's super crowded in, but I'm just going to leave everything and see how it goes. And whatever happens with it, I'm just going to add another layer of different types of compost. I'm going to add some more green waste compost, some more animal manure compost, and some wood compost. Again, keep building it, and not adding anything else, nothing chemical based, nothing that would just destroy the integrity of here. Because the idea here is that the experiment is to be no-till, see how well that can get me. At this point, I've had this for about 6 months. I'm going to keep it for even longer. I want to keep it here for probably like a year, 2 years, and see the results on the no-till garden. And if you remember, here was literally just, just leaves on the ground, just hard ground. And now, there is potential here. Things are growing, just not growing as well as I thought it would have. But definitely, I am optimistic about it. And, we'll see. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm super excited about this experiment in the garden here. I remember, if you want to see that original video where I started this no-till garden, just have a click over here and the link should take you right to that video. And there you go, little garden tour finished. I'm filming this outro about a month after filming the rest of the footage. So that's why these sunflowers have already started blooming, as you didn't see in the original few clips earlier on. But here they are, these are the branching sunflowers, really pretty. They had a really nice just flavor to the garden, and they attract a lot of pollinators. A lot of bees have been coming around to pollinate them. So it's really, really cool having them around. Remember that if you enjoyed this video, and if you know someone who could benefit from this kind of information, share this video, but also the channel with them. Help them to grow more food for themselves and their family. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook. If you want to see more content coming out of Trini Gardener's channel, and if you want to share any videos or pictures coming out of your garden with us, we're always happy to see what you're getting up to. So tag us on any of those platforms. And remember, as always, this has been Dylan from the Trini Gardener channel, reminding you to get up and get green. Take care.